Hello guys, and welcome to today's episode of Cashflow Digital, where it's just the three of us today, Mike Pierce and Big Bad Brad and myself. So before we go into anything, do check out the channel sponsor, ODYS. They have a link in the video description if you want to get £100 sign-up bonus by going through that link for Age Domains or Done For You affiliate websites. But anyway, enough of that stuff. What are we talking about today, Mike? What are we going
to actually, it's kind of interesting because you brought up ODYS and we're talking about domains. So I know that I've gotten some questions lately, and I think there was a bunch coming through last week, and they've been directed at Brad. What's interesting is they've all been about domain acquisition and link building since we've been talking about clusters and all that crap. So I actually wanted to ask Brad some questions about like his process for buying and building networks, because I mean, I've been around it, and it's been in my campaigns, but that is something that Brad handles specifically. I do not do that portion of the business whatsoever. I utilize them when they're done. So Brad, like when it comes down to you actually purchasing domains, like if we take a topic like let's just take rehab. Let's take rehab. So if we get into that and we're looking for money generation, let's look at this from a money standpoint where we need to make some money and we know that there's some new trending keywords on something, whatever it is, maybe partial hospitalization shit, PHP, rehab and all that. Let's do that. How would you start, man? Like, what's the first?
Are we starting with a money site, like the top tier money site that we have? Are we hacking that? Are we creating a new one from scratch? Are we
new one from scratch with GMBs? So we're going into it like we're building a new lead generation platform.
That helps. What I would do is I would have I would pick probably a sub niche, like Mike mentioned one. You can go detox, you can go, drug rehab if you want, alcohol rehab, whatever. Dig into the keyword research, and you're going to have a plethora if you're going into rehab. So you've got a ton of them, and so you're going to take that, and you're going to dig into it. We're not in this case. If I want to start generating income sooner rather than later, I'm not going to create an overarching site like rehabs.com where it's just huge. You've got all this content about everything. I want to really hone in on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a subcategory. Say let it be alcohol, and then I want to have a set of subcategories. That makes sense. Like not a tier 2, but a tier 3 type category. So you can pick alcohol, and you can go alcohol detox, alcohol rehab, alcohol treatment, substance abuse for alcohol. If you're looking at alcohol, a lot of execs, that's what they abuse, or a lot of the union workers, that's what they would abuse. They're not shooting up heroin and then going into the mine shaft or anything. They're gonna just get off and just tip it back until they can't stand up. So that's where I would go after the executive rehab and stuff like that. So you could group all that stuff together. I'm going to get a base of content, just article-based content that's going to target national campaigns. And then what I want to do is I want to start at least with 5 to 10 local pages. So I might pick a state that I know converts better, say Ohio or something, and then get 5 to 10 GMBs in there. I have it set up. I go through each page with cog, pop, all that stuff. So it's going to pop organically. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to either purchase or set up my own GMBs for each one of those and put those, attach those to each of the pages.
So at this point, we've got the research done. We have the sites with the GMB listings attached to them, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And this isn't, we're going to get to link building, but this is kind of the base stuff. You got to set up your money site first. So you could honestly
to make a point on too, I think when you're saying that is the fact that the money should drive what you're doing. But I had a conversation yesterday with someone that was asking about this specifically, and the money should drive what they're doing, but they also should look at it like it's going to be part of a linking network, right?
It is. Yeah, and that's why I'm starting with the money site, but the money site can also become part of your linking network as well. So I want to establish the entity, and for anyone that doesn't know, that's basically I go out, and I order 15, 20 social properties, and then kind of tie all that together. I interlink them all, have them interlinked. I'm not doing that work.
So I know Craig was saying that he does the entity build or whatever the hell people want to call it with getting the social around it. I wanted to emphasize that whether Brad is talking about 5 domains or in some campaign cases, a few thousand domains, that's happening to pretty much everything, right, dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Exactly. So, so after I've got the overarching entity for the site, so say we're going after alcohol treatment, we've got all these sub niches, we've got some articles on there. Doesn't have to be a ton. You can always add more later. And then you've got your 5 to 10 GMBs that are kind of clustered together, and you've got individual pages for all those, and then you've got your entity built around it. And then I'm going to see where the GMB actually settles. I know I'm going to pop on the first page for most of the time organically, but what I really want is that GMB, because I know that's what's going to drive the phone calls. And then if I don't feel like doing the mini net stuff, or if I want to try and push it without building out a network, what I'll do then is I'll go out and grab a citation gig for each of the ones that I want to push, and that further strengthens that page's entity. And when you come behind that with niche edits or something that's easy to go out and purchase, you can hit all of your social, you can hit all of your citations that are going to each individual page. I'm going to do a citation gig for each individual. Like if I'm going Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Akron, I'm running out of Cleveland. Those are all the Ohio cities I know offhand. But I'm going to build out a citation gig for each one of those. Now,
so what we got here is, I don't think we've mentioned Triple T on the show here. Mm-hmm. And what Triple T is kind of I don't know, it's like art. It's like whatever the hell everyone calls trust, traffic, and theme. But to us,
everyone calls it art now. I think you and I were talking about Triple T. Well, you came up with the term, but we were essentially using it before you came up with the term, both of us. Right. But yeah, it's trust, traffic, and theme for anyone that doesn't know.
So what you got here is what Brad just established right there. He picked domains and listings and tied them together around a theme of rehab and location of you said Ohio, correct?
Yeah, let's just go with Ohio. Alcohol plus Ohio.
The GMB right there establishes trust. This is why a link building network built out of a lead generation network. This is why you should always be tying lead generation in with SEO, okay? When you're building a link network, you can make it stronger by establishing true trust with Google. And this is done through a few ways. They get your credit card, they get your information. GMB can establish that. AdWords can establish that, right? Now, the GMBs rank really quickly because you're putting the site on that is making the GMB more buoyant, and it will start to pull rank and basically pull traffic.
It pulls. That's how the easiest way to expand the number of keywords that your GMB will rank for as well. Because If you notice, if you search for a term and you go and you see a GMB that's been up there for a little while, Google's had a chance to crawl it, index it, the site associated with it, you'll see this. It doesn't mention anything about whatever term it is, alcohol treatment, on the GMB, but it will say it on the site. It says this site mentions XYZ. So that's the number one reason why I like to have some type of lander on there, because I can spam the piss out of it.
Well, what's interesting is Google has continued to make changes this month. They made some huge changes this month that modified a lot of their platforms that we're testing right now. It's looking extremely beneficial, to the point where it's not as beneficial as a whole where you can make a map listing, but it's a whole where you can insert a content piece into Google and start to pull traffic out of them through their direction and them wanting you to do it. So when you're building domains, when you're building a lead generation network, and you look at this holistically from, okay, I want to rank a major website in this space, say rehabilitation. I want this major brand in rehabilitation, and I can make money while I'm doing that with lead generation. Well, now you're building a second tier of websites like Brad's describing right here. They have the theme, they're generating traffic. They're also generating the trust from the GMB listing and being established there. The traffic is converting, which establishes more trust. So traffic helps establish the trust. And the theme of that page, where you start to talk about lexiconical stuffing on the domains that Brad's talking about buying, they, like Brad said, you are ranking for more terms in Google for the listing because of the landing page. So now what you have is this, it's a synergistic approach that you set aside this national ranking campaign you have while you're building money. So once
at this point, in all honesty, you should be generating calls. You should be making money at that point. Yeah,
I would say, Brad, like usually when you get a listing up and everything, when do you think you're making your first dollar bill?
It depends on if you do your keyword research right. But I was helping a guy with a campaign, and his first call came through from a new campaign, and I know for a fact that it was less than a week. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, here's the deal.
It was one call that day. It was on Friday. He got it set up like earlier in the week, but still, I mean, he made his money back on that GMB that he had made.
I think the quickest money we saw was the first month with T in rehab or something when we formed that company.
Yeah,
I think we hit. I know in the first 2 months we hit
30 grand pretty quick.
What's that?
We hit 30 grand pretty quick.
We did really quickly, 30 grand. I would say the first week or two, but I think the first 4 months of that company, we were at 800,000. Like, it almost hit $1 million in the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
And that is what is so powerful about this kind of synergistic approach to SEO.
And disclaimer, earnings disclaimer, we went balls out.
Well, we went big.
We weren't fucking around, so.
And we're talking about sites. It's like the campaign this last year where we did the same thing in finance, right? Mm-hmm. That generated a total of 1.2.
I don't think I've ever gone that balls out, to be honest.
No, that was nuts, dude. $1.2 billion generated is freaking insane, dude. That's I've never heard of anything like that. That was, I'm just blown away on that campaign. But it's the same strategy over and over again that I see.
Yeah, we've been using it for years now.
And so it's really important just on a macro level, like getting down to, if you're an SEO agency owner, understanding that Triple T and the way that Brad acquires the domains for these campaigns by focusing on Triple T, trust, traffic, and theme, it's like a building block of absolutely everything that you're going to do. So before we get into the actual domain like acquisition and the stats and all that, and on some of the details, I just want to make sure that everyone has that trust, traffic, and theme in their head, because whatever ART stands for, I don't know what it is. I mean,
it's authority, relevance, and theme.
Okay.
What's the A stand for?
Authority? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, authority, relevance, and theme.
Asshole?
ART?
Asshole, relevance, and theme. Yeah.
It's funny because it sounds like we're talking white hat SEO, right? Authority, relevance, and theme. Trust, traffic, and theme. But realistically, whether you're doing white hat, gray hat, it doesn't matter. If you're doing black hat, you're breaking laws. Whatever you're doing, that shit still matters, dude. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think people miss, is that just because someone says quality content, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing that in a legitimate manner. So now let's get into what I think is the easiest part of this, because I don't have to do it myself, and that's domain, like selecting domains, because you do that shit, bro. So to me, that's simple, but go on about.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, so to recap, we've got the site, we've done our keyword research, we've determined that we're going to go into alcohol, and we've determined that, hey, Ohio is going to be a good state for that. So we've gotten into Ohio. We've got a base of content built out that's like national level, that's adding relevance to the site, and potentially it could rank. I usually like to go for longer tail stuff for that, or stuff that only gets like at a national level, like 20, 30 keywords a month, or search volume a month. But I know I can get up there for it, and if it brings me one conversion, that's fine. So we've got the basic content, and we've got the local pages, 5 to 10, and GMBs attached. If we feel like it, then we're going to send citations to that. If not, then we can hold off on it. But I look at citations in the entity as just more link targets for our tiering. So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I want to build my own network, because I'm going all in on alcohol treatment, right? So what I'm going to do at that point is I'm going to go out and I'm going to find more domains. I can share my screen and show how to do that here in a second. But I'm going to go out and find more domains that are relevant. I mean, extremely relevant. So I want old rehab sites that have gone, defunct. People let them kind of lapse. Anything in that realm, alcohol treatment. If you could, I've found Narcotics Anonymous sites that have like local chapters and stuff that have fallen off. Those work really well. And then I'm not going to spend as much time on each of those as I have on my my primary money site as far as content and all that stuff. I'm going to get something, any kind of program, whatever you like best to generate, like auto generate content. I'm going to go out and I'm going to throw that on there, at least, get that building. I'm going to have a relatively decent homepage that I know can convert, with all the articles being built in the back end. That takes me like 2 seconds to set up. And then I'm going to attach a single GMB to each of those, if at all possible. And then if it's was like a rehab facility or has geolocation attached to it, I'm going to build the GMB there.
Can I pause you really quick on attaching a GMB to the site? I had a conversation with someone who's recently got into GMB. They're getting out like 50 listings a day right now, yesterday. Nice. Okay. And they asked me, they're like, we're doing like 50 listings on a site. And they're like, what about that versus 10? And I made a point to them that once you go over the threshold of one listing on a website, 10 versus 50 is actually not a huge difference, but 1 versus 2 is a big difference. I want to make this very clear for people that if you are doing listings, once you go over 1, there's other things that are starting to be a factor in your network and in your campaign that they can see that they won't see if you are only at 1 listing. So it's something to keep in mind.
And the reason I like to do the singles is, say my money site just dies. I lose like all 10 listings or 20 listings, whatever I've got attached to the site. I've still got all these individuals and they're much, much safer. Not to say that I couldn't lose a few of those as well, but I'm kind of spreading out my risk at that point.
When we were penalized, when we had the manual action on those 2,500 sites in that one campaign, when the sites were pulled out of the index, the listings were fine. They maintained just fine, because they weren't all attached to everything. So even though those 2,500 sites were pulled out, the revenue was still generating. And because we were able to get those sites re-included within a week, there was no lapse really we were able to weather a complete de-indexation of the network, make money while that was going on, and have it back in without really a hiccup in the revenue because of the way the risk mitigation is in these networks. So when I say 1 versus 2 versus 10 versus 50, I truly mean that if you are really playing at large numbers with this kind of stuff, not what people talk about, but really doing it and generating a lot of revenue using these listings, 1 is very different than 2 or 50. So keep that in mind if you're doing this. And even without the GMB tied into it, if you're doing a listing or you're doing a network, diversification and risk mitigation is extremely important because you're losing revenue if you lose sites out of the index. So making pods or groupings and clusters of these sites are very important as well. So that was my 2 cents on the listing count. It's been coming up lately since there's new holes open.
Yep, exactly. So I'm going to build out a network of, we can say infinite, but we'll say start 5 to 10. 5 is extremely manageable. 10 might take a little longer, but you should be able to find 5 sites relatively easy. Throw like a cheap theme or whatever on them, make the homepage look halfway decent, get a GMB on them. And then they're going to start generating revenue as well. So at the end of the day, say you started with 5 on your money site, and then you've got a network of 5. You're already at 10 GMBs, all lexiconically stuffed, if that's how you would say that.
That's how I would say it.
Yeah, that's the right way then.
I don't know if anyone else says that shit, but I sure.
I can't spell it, man. I can barely say it, but. You're looking at like 10 GMBs, but you've got a network, and I don't want to say I know for a fact, but there is a very, very good chance that you're going to recover your money in a relatively short amount of time. And then that I look at it is we're legitimately in digital real estate at that point because it's generating cash flow.
To the point where a large major corporation ran after our ass a couple of years ago.
Walmart, right?
Yeah, because we modified the market in a certain state, and their subsidiary felt it real hard. So that's what led to our de-indexation and then recovery and all this shit. And a brand name change, actually. We had to reincorporate.
Yeah.
But
it happens.
It does happen. You have to be ready for that kind of shit. And while we're here, I'm going to answer this question. Someone asked, no, I am not saying attach 2 to 3. You can, and we've run campaigns with 800 listings on an individual website. But the difference is that was a legitimate campaign versus not a legitimate campaign. This is where the factors come into play. If you are a legitimate operation and you have a lot of listings or a lot of locations, then you're not going to have, it comes down to recovery, right? Always plan for that time where Google just wipes your ass out. How are you going to get right back to where you were as quickly as possible? If you're a legitimate campaign with legitimate shit going on, then that means you can get it recovered really quickly because you've got the data to back it up. It's just like banking when you're overseas. I got a lot of shit. Like if you're trying to get money out of the US, they're going to ask you for data in certain cases. They're going to want to see where your businesses are. They're going to want to see addresses. PayPal fucks with you all the time like that, right? So it's the same with like trying to recover your network from Google. Like, hey, we penalize this, you're out. But no, hey, I'm legit. Look at this, okay? If it's real, it's easier. If you're doing something that is not real, which is like it's not truly
you're
real.
You're just setting up a lead gen site. You don't. I mean,
yes.
You're selling to a network. Yeah.
Be as safe as possible and do 1-to-1. Basically, you want to go 1-to-1 ratio, just like Braulio is asking down there.
And that's how I'm setting up my network. But I will have the occasional site. Like I said, the top tier site has got 5 to 10. That's fine, but don't do it. I mean, if you lose one, expect to lose all 5 to 10 a majority of the time.
I find it's easier to take multiple slots in the maps, multiple slots on the page, and steal more real estate with multiple domains than a single domain and listings tied to it. So
and you can go with your network. So say you've got the network of 5 sites, the 5 mini nets. You can go after the same cities that are targeted on your primary money site. Then, like Mike said, you've got 2 options to rank there. So,
and that's not to say that you don't have a secondary like fake money site that has 20 listings pointed at it that you don't give a shit if you lose, because that will build more authority. So there's reasons to do it this way, but from a safety standpoint and a disclaimer, go 1-to-1 to be safe until you understand what you're doing, whether that's a link building or a lead gen network.
Yep, exactly. So does anyone have any questions about the process? Kind of, it's kind of a mind map. I don't have it drawn out like on anything, but I don't think it's overly complicated.
It's really not. We're doing the 1-to-1 ratio. The sites are on topic. If you're in NFG, you understand how we do our document, where you're building off of a single document where you have all of your keyword research for your lexiconical and keyword research done. That becomes your posts. That becomes your domains that you buy topically. Linking that you do topically. You work off that one map basically, and you just build the same structure for links. You build the same structure for lead gen. You build on your network. You build the same structure for content on those individual websites, and that way you're not having to redo research over and over again. So it's all, you systemize this, right? We can't get into that today, or it's just like going to take hours and hours. But just take what your research is, and this is what you use to go on to what Brad is about to go into.
Whatever your research is, it can be cognitive SEO, it can be Ahrefs, it can be SEMrush, whatever your tools for doing your keyword research are. That's how you drill down into said niche, So, and Craig, I was flipping through Facebook. I saw the show with a few minutes of the show with you, Chris, and Holly, and I saw a lot of people asking about how do you find expired domains and stuff like that. So I can show that here, and that's the basis of my networks. Essentially, is how I set them up. If you want,
do it, because out of everything I do. On a weekly basis, that is one of the most common things. Where do you go? How are you doing it?
So you can go out and buy them for if you've got someone that you trust that can go find them for you. But otherwise, this is how I do it. So let me share my screen.
And keep in mind, we do not hire VAs to teach processes too. We automate. And Brad, if Brad's doing this by hand, if it's being done by hand, it is Brad doing this for our campaigns.
Yep.
But can I ask one question here?
Yeah.
So obviously what you're suggesting is a lot of work. I'm assuming you guys automate a lot of that stuff. Like this is one thing, right? And when I went to America to speak at NFG Rockstars a couple of years ago, when I met you guys, one thing that really I left America thinking is these motherfuckers automate everything they can possibly automate. So how are these tools on the market for other people to buy, or are you just cleverly making these tools?
We have partners that know our process at this point. So we work. I like to partner up whenever I can. I know Mike does the same. And at that point, like this, I would set up one time, and then it's just generating at that point. So I don't worry about it. But I go out and I'll purchase GMBs and get those attached to the domains. I have a web designer, like a web design. I want to say a team, but I deal with one guy, and then he has a team that does my web design stuff. And as far as article writers, of course, we've got article writers as needed. I'm not writing the article, so we just pass that over to the web design team. They take care of it. Purchase the GMBs, and then I purchase whatever else needs to be purchased, the entity, the citations, stuff like that. And then Mike takes care of the tiering typically, and we outsource that as well. So
we actually, I haven't told you yet, but it's just finalized. Content is completely finalized, and linking is completely finalized, automated to the current standard with the changes for this month.
Nice.
So it's done, dude. But yeah, it's definitely about automation. There has been times where like automation breaks, and you're literally like I've been in there like on campaigns with Brad and people, and like having to fucking manually enter shit, which sucks, dude. And that's only when there's a necessity to do it. You definitely are automating everything. Content, like it's a lot of bots in a lot of cases, and then a lot of PHP scripting and plugins. Like for content right now, it's a bot that actually just got turned into a plugin. That's what I'm talking about, Brad. The one that we handed out to the NFG guys for the paraphrasing, for the content creation, and the link building. It's now a plugin actually, and
nice.
Yeah, it is. It's actually like I think it just tweaked out today to finish up. I got to find out, but yeah. So Craig, it comes down to like for this level of campaign, when you're getting into thousands of websites, you absolutely want automation. But the good thing is if a person can do it, there's a way to actually automate it. So it's solid like that. One of the best things you can do is go grab like Xenoposter or Win Automation if you're solo, and learn how to do like screen recording and write macros and everything. And that will turn you into multiple people, and you don't need to share your process.
Yeah, we had do you know how many sites we had in the Payday network, Mike? I can't remember how many we had. Thousands, I know.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude.
But yeah, we took we were using Lead Gadget at the time, which is just a mass page builder. But I took that and we automated 3 different things, and it cost us like $300 or $400, and we made a shit ton of money off of it. So we automated the purchasing and the setting up of the DNS in our name servers, and then we automated the setup of the site and launching them and stuff like that. And then once they were launched and they started to index, then we had a third one that would go in and cloak it over to the landing pages. So it's typically really like simple third grade style.
But it's not worth selling it in the public because of the support costs. Like support for selling shit sucks, dude. Like to have to support things. I've seen people destroy their companies trying to support like software they've written that they thought was a great idea to hand out to the public, which in theory it is, but then like the support is just fucking miserable, dude.
Yeah. And my user interface on all of my bots are ugly as shit, but they work. So I don't worry about it. It's not something I would sell to the public, to be honest. One, because a lot of the stuff is specific to my processes and the stuff that I do. Or it might be like a one-off. Like it sucked because I bought a bot. It was like either 500 or 1,000. It was for GMBs and stuff, and it was designed to spit out an Excel spreadsheet, giving me the information that I wanted from a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't working. So I was like, well, fuck me. I was like, the only reason I bought it is so I didn't have to go and do a spec sheet and all that stuff. So I made a spec sheet, sent it over to my guy. He sends it back a few days later, and it works perfectly. And now I'm able to use that for GMBs and stuff like that. So it's just really specific stuff is what I try and automate. But yeah, so
the key.
Yeah,
that's the main stuff that you were going to show us. So you're sharing your screen.
Yeah. So I'll we've got Ahrefs. my favorite, and you'll see why in a second to find them. Another one, it might not work as well for like drug rehab stuff because these might be spammed as shit. But for the oddball niches, like if you get a local pool guy or something like that as a client, this works exceptionally well. But what we're going to do first is go to Ahrefs, and we're going to find what I call like authority sites. So I just search for my main keyword, alcohol treatment center near me. So I've got 3 different ones we can try. We've got this rehabs.com, big one, recovery.org, and then this one that I haven't heard of, Start Your Recovery. They must be a little bit newer. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that and throw it into Ahrefs. And we want links from these sites. So a lot of times I'm searching for a drug rehab or alcohol rehab directory or opiate treatment directory. And I want to find these little niche directory sites that might have links. And if they have links from those directory sites, then they're going to have links from other authoritative sites as well. So we plug that in, and then we go over to broken links right here. So it'll give you all the broken links from the site. And you're going to see a bunch of edu, gov, stuff like that. We're going to get rid of all that and see if there's anything. See, there's only 46 broken here. Let's see. At that point, we can probably... Let's see what kind of profile they have. This one might be a good one. Yeah, DR19. Let's see if it's available. Nope, that one's unavailable. But what you're going to do is you're going to go through here, and then Namecheap's got this beast mode. So you're going to go through here, and you're going to download all of these, dedupe it, get rid of the .gov stuff that clearly will not. I don't want to walk you through. It's only an hour show. So, but we're going to download all this. Of course, SAMHSA wouldn't be available. Get naloxone now. That one would be a good one if you can get that. And anyone that knows rehab knows naloxone is what would you call it? I guess not an LSI, but it's a relevant term.
It is, yeah. It's topically relevant.
Yep, stuff like this. So you're going to download it and then just upload all of these in beast mode at the same time.
God,
and see what's available.
Freaking so many campaigns, dude.
What's that?
Oh, I just remember some of the bots we've had in the past, like looking at the interface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember to turn off your fucking your re-registration, your automatic re-registration.
That is true as well. Yeah, generate.
If you're doing volume.
Yeah, I've woke up and kicked myself a right good few times with that one.
Yeah, it's a good way to lose a couple grand. Here, I'll just go ahead and export it.
Yeah,
if you want 1,000 rows, yes.
That'll work, dude. So basically, when you have that sheet that we were talking about as we're doing this, like you're going to know exactly what you're going after. You're going to have points to start with. Brad, did you start with a phrase search, or what did you start the search with there?
I think it was alcohol treatment near me. Right. But if you have your keywords, then you've got plenty of them.
Exactly. You'll have your sheet, and all you need to do is you need to just automate the fact of the insertion from there, copy and paste into that interface, and that can be automated very easily, or it can be done by hand, so that you can continue to pull out the domains that are there. Export here, like you're seeing a process that's very easy to automate, even by yourself with just screen recording. Like Win Automation. While Brad's pulling this up, Win Automation is pretty damn cheap and works extremely well for screen recording. Also, like if you have not used Xenoposter is probably the best SEO tool out there.
I've got a few. I've got a few bots that I bought from that.
Yeah, they do a great job that you can automate with it. Anything where iMacros is in the browser, I'm sure it's still around. Like there's anything that you can record your screen with is the easiest way to do it. You can write full business processes that you can resell that way. It's very easy. And you're just recording what you're doing. So you're going through it, doing by hand and recording your screen while you do it, and it will turn it into a macro for you. So if you've never looked into what that kind of software does, like those types of tools are the best SEO tools because they will automate for you. And like what Craig was asking, the money truly is in volume for the way we do a lot of stuff. And either you're slaving all day doing that by hand, or you are automating it, or if you are a person that hires, you're hiring it and training. So
can you see
the bot? Oh, you scrape box, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So I've taken them, I put them in scrape box. You can remove the dupes however you want, but I want to trim it to the root. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab them, copy all, head back to the spreadsheet.
Ask while you're setting that up there, Brad. Basically, what you're looking at is you need to do your research on 301s. Realistically, you want to paraphrase the content that was there into your own space and 301 that, or you're going to recreate content on those targets itself.
Still have that copy. One sec. Let me copy.
And actually, that's how About got recovered. I mean, that's how a lot of people, what you're talking about there, like that's a way to slip loss a lot of the time when it comes to a core update or penalization. So
all right, so we'll take these, and you can check it in Scrapebox as well, but I mentioned beast mode anyway, so
yeah,
doing back over
in the UI is better than doing it in the desktop software for him.
So we're going to go generate and see what's available.
If you don't have Scrapebox, that's a Swiss Army knife. So Scrapebox is a great piece of software.
Yeah, it's like 90 something one time.
It's a freaking amazing little tool. Plus you can play chess in it. And it has a music player. It's made for SEOs. Scrapebox, their expired domain finder is all right, but I do prefer, I think the results of what Brad's doing is always a better result than utilizing the individual tool.
I've never actually used it for their expired domain finder, but yeah. I use it to check who is to see if they're available.
Right.
Which is, Namecheap can be a little slow sometimes, but.
I love Scrapebox for finding quality comments on blogs and generating traffic. Like it's a good way to generate quick traffic by finding page one ranked comments that you can drop on that are actually active. Not like comment spam, but like what comment link building is, which is traffic sucking.
There we go. All right, so here's one that's available. You can see them popping up. You can export it if you want. But
so are you just setting a requirement level for yourself, Brad? And doing the spam check afterwards? You're doing it.
I want to make sure they're available. We know all of these sites have a link from startyourrecovery.org, which is essentially an authority site because it did come up nationally for alcohol treatment center near me.
That's very important. What Brad just said is Brad is using like the seed site concept and the link graph to determine where to pull those domains from. I want to, we should drive this home a little bit because I don't know if it got covered enough. But when you know what is authority in your actual marketplace, when you know what the authority sites are, the things that are ranked all the time, the things, not a directory necessarily, but other sites that are ranked all the time, potentially directories if they're high quality directories. And you know that real businesses are getting links from these places. Real things are getting marketed to these places. Well, now you know if anything has a link from that, it's potentially has been a solid domain. And this is important because it moves you out from like, you're like going, where is this? So you like, say you're out here, every link you get that is trusted gets you closer and closer to the seed, the source of what's important to Google. So you could get one from something like over here, and it's not going to move you at all. But you get something like where you're 2 hops away from the domain Brad's talking about, that trusted seed source, then it's pulling you up this much further instead of just like doing this for you. Like you come close to it, but like the closer you are to trust in Google's eyes, the further the move is per link, if that makes sense. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Clear to me. Yeah, so here's, I just double checked on the Start Your Recovery. So this is visit site. So this one I probably wouldn't use as a full-blown money site because it doesn't have a ton. But imagine if you grab this site, it's got 4 seed site referring domains. So they're all they're all relevant. This one might be one that I would use for a network. I attached the GMB to it. It was based in Memphis, so I'm going to go ahead and set it up for Memphis. I'm going to try and rank everything I fucking can in Memphis for alcohol treatment, executive rehab, stuff like that. I'm just going to, drop all those. I'm going to attach Memphis to the keyword sets and then drop it in my auto poster, let it run, make a nice looking site lander on the homepage, drop that then into my GMB. And then if I want to push it from there, I can either use niche edits or I can
record those links.
Small citation.
Say, exactly. Yeah. Record those links. These are the 4 links. The first thing you're going to go out and hit with quality, index links, like anything that this is where you're starting your link building. As soon as you get this up, you're not necessarily coming in and hitting the domain right away. What you're doing is you're coming into the links that are important for Google to see that you want to reactivate in the space. And you're hitting that with links. And what it's doing is now it's reactivating those pages, which is now going to pass the juice over and reactivate your domain. So instead of making the mistakes that a lot of people make, which is come in and hit it with a bunch of shit once you put it up, you come underneath, just like you're going to do for anything. If there's like an old penguin type issue or things like that, you're coming underneath the profile with power, with the metrics you need, and you're reactivating the domain that way. And then you can worry about, in most cases, you're not going to need to build any more links for what we're talking about. Yeah. But then you start going in and you can start doing links again to that property.
Yeah. And also, quick side note, I'm not going to individually go through and fucking check these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export it. I'm going to do this this export on a few different sites. So remember, I brought up like 2 or 3 in the very beginning. I'm going to go and get those. I'm going to go over to up here for Ahrefs, because that's primarily what I use to find them. And then I'm going to go to batch analysis and drop them all in, sort by either DR or referring domains. I typically like referring domains because DR is kind of all over the place and it's a third-party metric anyway. I'm going to buy it based on the actual backlinks going to it, not what someone like Ahrefs, SEMrush, or whoever thinks the number of the site is. So I'm going to sort it by referring domains. A lot of times, if they've got a shit ton of referring domains, they're spammed out, but you can take a look at them anyway because you can find, kind of a diamond in the rough at the top sometimes, but you're typically going to have to go down. I like to get, at least 5 to 10 referring domains for my network sites. I like to have more of that for my money sites, but of course, I'm going to be doing more link building to the money sites, so they're going to have it regardless. So that's what I do with Ahrefs to find them. You can go out and find, and set up a rehab network if you wanted to. Still, I've been doing this for 5-6 years at least, right, Mike? That sounds about right.
Yeah, and another thing that I do pay attention to in these processes when I do have the opportunity to look is when you look at the referring domains, when you look at the actual links that are coming in, you can avoid everything and just go look at the traffic on those pages, like drop it into here or drop it into
that's where SEMrush comes in handy.
Yeah, SEMrush is really good for that. You drop these in, check the traffic on the referring domains that are linking to it, and that's where you can kind of craft like the second tier link building process. If you really want to get a really big fucking push, you come in underneath based on like where the traffic is and reactivate the crawl and the crawl budget underneath that whole process.
Yeah. See, this one's got, as a whole, it's got decent traffic per month,
right.
62,000. And then you pop this one for Memphis as well. It's got 14 organic keywords.
And you don't care about those numbers. Really, what you're looking for is like, those are good, but if you want to do it quick, just make sure there's not a downturn in the graph, like a significant downturn in the graph. You don't want a waterfall. You don't want anything that's like a significant recent downturn. If it's years ago and your penalty dates, then waterfalls and ups are good. But like you're looking for specific graphs, and you can actually pull this shit out.
Yeah, like this would be good. It's climbing. Yeah.
Yep. So
that's what I do with Ahrefs. If you don't want to buy Ahrefs, expiredomain.net is always a expiredomains plural.net. You just log in and you go over here to deleted domains, and you're going to do this based on keywords. So it's going to be a mini net that a supporting site that has your keyword in the domain. So I might just search for contains, see what we come up with. No numbers, no hyphens. Let's see. Word count I don't care about.
And they're still free, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had this account since like the OMG days way back.
Fresh
in the day.
Drops is still there too. And Fresh Drops does really good as well. But I think expired.
Yeah.
I think this has worked a lot better for us in the long run.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go over to. So I don't really like shit with numbers or hyphens or anything. So I'm gonna put in my keyword. I'm gonna take out the hyphens and numbers, and I'm gonna change this to 200 results per page, and we'll see why in a second.
Craig, how much longer do you have, bro? What time do you have to bounce? I know you've got.
I can be done in like.
No, you're not too. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
It's all good.
So we're going to go over to backlinks and sort it. You might have to try a few different keywords because, like I said, in this niche especially, you're going to find some spammed out sites. So, but we're going to take all 200 and we're going to go over here and we're going to copy. See, there's only 32 that fit. Actually, let me take off the. See if we get anything better. Apply. All right, so we got it ranked by backlinks. 38 domains came up, and these are ones that I can go out and I can purchase like immediately. They're drop domains. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to take it over to Ahrefs. Go over to bulk or batch, bulk, whatever. And I set it to 200 because that's the max you're going to see. You're not going to go over there's not going to be 200 plus sites that you're going to want to dig through. So do it by 200, rank it by the number of backlinks just because it's a quick metric you can look at. And that's the most that Ahrefs will let you throw in here at a time. So we're going to do that and analyze. And then let's see, rank it by DR. So we got a DR9 here. By abstinent. Yeah, you're probably not going to want to get that one. Something alcohol expert.
What made you not want that one, Brad, for everyone that doesn't?
By absent, it just seems spammy. I mean, we could look at it, but we
that's
might.
your gut. That's experience talking. Like, what made your gut say that for the people that don't have the experience? I'm trying to figure out your mystery magic inside.
Well, I wouldn't want it with all the characters anyway. So
that's either been hacked or that's been used for some certain tactics. So
this one I probably wouldn't go after either because it's only got the one referring domain. But let's take a look. Yeah, no historical backlink. So let's go back here. Let's do it. So this one's got 10 referring domains, it says. So we'll look at it. And again, you're going to have to dig more with these because you're going to get this just spam shit, you know. So gaming podcast, that's not really what I'm looking for. You got some feed burner stuff.
I can already tell because it's feed burner and gaming.
You're going to get feed burner a lot, and you're going to get on the old school spam ones. You're going to get Blogspot a lot.
So feed burner gives a do follow link from Google, and so it is a method that's been used for a very long time.
And it's porno Latina, so that you may have been on the site.
So you see what he's looking at here. Like you'll start to notice these trends, like especially if you've used these tactics, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're stealing links out of Google from them directly. We talked about seed sites. That's a great fucking link from Google, right? In theory. But you start to see this, you start to see what spam is. And what can work in some cases does not necessarily mean you want it in your network when you're building money.
Yep, exactly. So I would go down through here. It doesn't look like a ton of stuff. Of course, I'm not going to buy an RU.
Now, I would buy it just if I can get it easily and it's not spammed out, but it's that is your preference. If it's going to go in a tier 1,
I honestly try and stick with .comnet or maybe info. Yeah, I don't like US because you can't hide your who is, and you're gonna get spammed at that point with phone calls and shit.
It's a good way to get cease and desists as well. Like you don't want to be fined, especially in America. I'm assuming the UK is like that as well. You don't want people being able to find you and telling you to stop.
Yeah. So my preferred method is the Ahrefs. You start with a handful of seed sites. You plug those in. You export it. You remove the dupes. You see what's available, and then you throw all of those into the batch analysis. And then you should. It's like fish in a barrel at that point. You can just pick them out, and you can just plug and chug. Have your team set them up, whatever. And go from there. Set them up. Microhost, MICRAHOST, is decent for hosting.
Cloak hosting is decent as well.
Cloak hosting is good as well. Yeah, I'd say they're about the same.
I like closed hosting because they'll start to do work for you at certain levels of use.
Yeah, certain levels, yeah. But Microhost, they'll work with you too. They just don't have as much IP diversity, but with a 5 to 10 site network, you don't really fucking care about it. So
if you're tech savvy, look into reverse proxy, because that's one way to host as well.
You can mix in some Cloudflare. I don't like to overdo it with Cloudflare, but you can go there on a VPS. But yeah, there's a few different ways you can do it.
Cloudflare maybe, and we'll talk about Crimeflare and how to use that properly, because I think a lot of people do it wrong, to be honest. I can find a lot of networks that way. So I think there are questions, but some of them. No, I actually have some that came. Let me see what these were, because they came through last week, and I think there was a couple that tied in.
A few people say clear as mud. If you guys have any questions,
that was me. I asked if it was clear when I talked about seed sites, bro. That wasn't you.
I gotcha.
And honestly, we will go into what a seed site is, because I don't know if people understand it. Does anyone out there not know what a seed site is?
Mick has one. Mickleback 72, Craig.
Yes, and that is it. I'm going to go into that one more time because it was quick while you were working. So the way a 301 works, right? A 301, Google, the way they filter out whether they're going to use, it passes 100% page rank. It does not decay page rank, okay? That's kind of a rumor that spreads around that you lose some page rank and shit like this when it's a 301. One way to use this, if you've got multiple links coming into pages on an expired domain, is to either rebuild content right there and then reactivate those links.
That's what I do, yeah.
Or if you're doing a 301 method, then rebuild that content through paraphrasing on the new target, whether that's the same domain or something else, and redirect it through. If you're going to redirect individual pages, you're probably redirecting the whole thing. Don't do a domain level redirect if you can help it. Go page by page if you can. Now, the way Google filters out and decides not to pass page rank is if the topic is not relevant. And a good way to get the topic relevant is through URLs. So those are some ways you can use those kind of links that are decent, that are coming into domains. Yeah. But like for this methodology, rebuild. The
easiest way is to recreate the page or recreate something similar. And then you can use it as a linking hub where you've got links going into this one page already that are aged, that are probably getting traffic. So say it's an internal page, mydomain.com/inside. You've got a bunch of links going to that page. So I would go in, set up an article. Hopefully it's a relevant topic, because you've searched for relevant seed sites. You found a relevant site anyway. And then you just create a link hub at that point. So you can link out to maybe a few GMBs on your primary money site. You can link to entity properties that are associated with your primary money site. You could even link to another mininet if you wanted to. Just be careful interlinking those, but you can use it to power up. Everyone remembers the DAS/TAS days. You can do that.
It's basically linking in a reverse manner to where you have a higher metric site underneath a lower metric site to flow the metrics up. So it's tiered linking, but in a metric-based structure to maximize growth, essentially, is the theory behind it. I think we hit 55, dude. I think that was perfect timing.
Yes.
It's like I rehearsed it.
That is the funny thing. Absolutely no rehearsals. But sadly, guys, I've got to bounce off. I'm going on to a SEMrush webinar talking about affiliate marketing in 5 minutes. So most of them will be on a Thursday, though, so there should be no conflict going forward. But we will catch you all next week for more of the same. We need to get more out of Brad anyway. He sat there quiet for too long, so it's time to...
I don't have much rolling around in my head typically, so Good luck getting it out.
Just some SEO sometimes.
But no, thanks everyone, and obviously check out odys.cc. Also check the guys do have their NFG monthly and stuff like that, where they give a lot of other information away if you want to dig deeper into what these guys do. What's the domain again for you guys?
nfgseo.com/monthly would get you, or slash if you want to do nfgseo.com/just the number 7, that would get everyone a 7-day free trial.
Get in there.
Actually, it's a good week for it because the webinar's this week, and we're actually going to be going into what
this week would be a good one to join. Yeah.
Or last week. There was a huge platform change, actually, dude, that is shifting and made a hole where you can insert content. It's pretty sick. I'll talk to you about it, actually. It's kind of neat. But go do your thing, bro.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Peace, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
I'll catch you in a second. I got to piss.
Yeah. All right. I got to start. I got to piss and head downtown and get my shit out of the mail. So I'll call you on the way.
All right. That works. Later.